great naval victory. You want all about the great victory. Actually, all about the great naval victory, you want, sir? Thank you, sir. You want to read about it in the paper. Thank you, sir.
That'll be all for Crown Evening, Governor. Thank you. Much obliged.
You also read about the great naval victory, all in the paper, sir. Thank you, Governor. You all read about it, you want, sir? Thank you, sir.
Well, that calls for a drink, don't you think?
Sounds like a good idea.
I say, shall we have champagne, or do you care for some other wine?
Are there any other wines?
All right, waiter, number 24.
Yes, sir.
Cheer up, Pam. Celebrate.
Celebrate what?
Why, this. It's terrific.
Doesn't seem to have stopped the war, does it?
My dear, you do need a drink.
Well, what happened then?
Huh? Oh, yes. Then he looked at us through his monocle and said, "Good heavens, madam, what? All the way to Africa?"
Hello there.
Oh.
Come on.
Yes, quite.
Someone you know?
No, not very well.
I can't say much for his little playmate.
He always has a taste for cheap women. He's my father.
Oh. Oh, I say, that's a bit thick, isn't it?
What's a bit thick?
Well, I mean, just after all, that Earl makes it sort of horrible for you and your...
My mother?
Yes.
Oh, don't worry about her. She was one of his knickknacks about 21 years ago.
I sound most frightfully sorry.
Oh, let's talk about something a little more cheerful for a change. How about this war business, for instance?
You know, Pam, you're terribly attractive. Terribly exciting.
I drink to your touching, original sentiment.
Just a moment, my dear.
I said goodnight to you downstairs. What do you want?
Yes, I know, but I didn't take that very seriously. I thought perhaps you'd ask me in for a nightcap.
Well, you thought wrong.
Now, listen, dearie. That sort of thing may work with some men, but not with me.
You disgust me.
Now, wait a moment. I haven't entertained you all evening and bought you champagne just for fun, you know.
No, I don't suppose so. I don't think you spent more than £5. Here, keep the change. I'm sorry to have taken up your valuable time. Now, get out of my way.
Was the deceased a very close friend of yours? A friend of the family? A relative, perhaps?
No, he was neither a friend nor a relative.
Oh. Now, will you please tell the court how long you knew him?
About 5 hours.
And where did you first meet him? Surely you haven't forgotten where you met him?
We stopped at quite a few places. I'm just trying to remember which was the first one. It was a cocktail lounge called the Pink Elephant.
Now, at this Pink Elephant, no doubt some mutual friend introduced you.
No, I was there alone. So was he.
In other words, Miss Starr, you picked him up.
No, he picked me up.
Thank you, Miss Starr. No doubt the jury will be very grateful for the distinction. Were you aware, Miss Starr, that the deceased was a captain in His Majesty's service?
He was in evening clothes.
And were you aware that the late Captain Tedford was a married man?
No, I didn't ask him. He didn't mention it. But he had all the earmarks.
If there is any further demonstration, I shall order the courtroom cleared. You may proceed, Sir Humphrey.
Will you offer us your explanation of the £5 note found in the late Captain Tedford's hand?
Yes. Captain Tedford paid for my dinner and some champagne. I said goodnight to him outside my flat. He followed me upstairs. He seemed to think that the money I permitted him to spend on my entertainment entitled him to insult and molest me. I gave him a £5 note, which was more than enough to cover his expenses, and I told him to keep the change. But when he continued to insult me, I pushed him away from my door as hard as I could.
Are you in the habit, Miss Starr, of permitting strangers to address you without the formality of an introduction?
Yes, if they seem to be amusing.
Do you live with your parents?
No, I live alone.
But with their approval, of course.
With my father's approval.
Ah, but not with your mother's.
My parents were divorced when I was a baby.
Miss Starr, would you care to tell the court upon what grounds your father divorced your mother?
Milad, you need not answer that question. The jury will disregard any reference to the accused's mother. Young woman, your emotion is quite understandable. But I would suggest a more sympathetic attitude.
I feel no sympathy. I feel only resentment and disgust of being placed in a horrible position like this. To be badgered, photographed, questioned, to make a Roman holiday for the newspapers and a courtroom full of snickering women.
Control yourself, Miss Starr.
You're not sitting in judgment on my morals or the lack of them. You have no right to
Quite
say...
enough. Remove the prisoner.
Court is adjourned until 2 p.m.
Stubborn little fool. Does she want to spend the best years of her life in jail?
I can't understand the child. I never could.
You never tried very hard, did you? How much time did you ever really spend with her since she started to grow up?
You're right, Gordon. I haven't been much of a father. They'll never convict her, will they?
If she doesn't change her tune, that jury would vote to hang her if they could.
I'll go and have another talk with her.
Well, I hope you'll have better luck than I had. She practically ordered me out of her cell.
Gordon,
What are you doing here, Mrs. Starr?
the name's O'Neill now, Miss O'Neill.
I suppose you know that you have no right to be in England?
Yes, I know.
My dear Mrs. Starr, I beg your pardon. Miss O'Neill. I represented your husband in the divorce proceedings, and I ought to know. There was a specific provision...
Yes, that I leave the country, which I did. I went home to America. And I've also been to Ethiopia, Madrid.
Oh, there was no provision against your traveling. It was merely that you should stay out of England.
Look, I don't want to quarrel with you. I want to help Pamela. I've been in this courtroom all morning.
And did you find your daughter on the stand an edifying spectacle?
That's a rather cheap sneer. I didn't bring her up.
No. You forfeited that right 20 years ago.
Oh, stop ranting about my guilt. I'm not on trial, it's Pamela. And you've got to do something.
My dear lady, Sir Humphrey is a very shrewd prosecutor. You heard him harping on the fact that this young Thetford had only just returned from the front. You know, in wartime, a uniform covers a multitude of sins.
That's exactly what I'm driving at.
I'm afraid I don't follow you.
No. You never were very bright, and you haven't changed much in 20 years. Certainly, a uniform covers a multitude of sins. But it cuts both ways.
I'm afraid I still don't understand you.
Relax. I'll draw a diagram.
Because the victim of this accident was wearing the uniform of His Majesty's Armed Forces. We honor him for that, and no one deplores his death more than we do. There is, however, one fact that you are entitled to know. A fact which my client has asked me to withhold, but which I now feel it my duty and responsibility to tell you before you retire for a verdict. I deem it only right that you should know that the accused, Pamela Starr, is also the wearer of a uniform of which she is proud, though she scorns to shield herself behind its folds. My client has enlisted in an auxiliary nursing service, and her application to serve in France is already under consideration by the War Office. That, Your Lordship, is our case.
Acquitted. I suppose I should be grateful to you. But I can't help feeling a certain sense of guilt at the way it was done.
That's ridiculous, Pamela. It was a magnificent stroke.
I can quite understand your feelings. The trick was bold, theatrical, cheap, perhaps, but it worked.
But I told the truth. Isn't that enough?
These are not normal times. It was a uniform that swung public opinion away from you. Another uniform swung it back.
Well, I think it's splendid. Splendid. Out of all this mess came a great opportunity for you to serve your country.
You mean go to the front?
Other English women are doing their bit. My dear, your grandmother was a nurse in the Crimea.
I know, but Oh, well, it doesn't really matter anyway. My own pretty little set probably considers me a murderess despite the verdict. So I might as well leave London. I'll go through with it. Don't forget your manual. I won't need it. I know the silly thing backwards. I'm terribly excited, aren't you? Just think. Tomorrow we'll be in France on our way to the front.
Come along, girls. We don't want to miss the boat train.
Oh, heavens, I nearly forgot my picture of Larry.
Yeah, give us a look. Ooh, not bad. Not bad. But he ain't half a patch to my Henry.
Larry said he might see us at Dover. He's going to try to cross on the same boat.
No, Ducky, no, never on the same boat.
Why not?
Water does something to men, Ducky. I don't know what it is. I've handled him on buses, I've handled him in trains, and I've handled him in taxis, but never on boats. Put him on the Queen Mary or in a canoe, and they all act like they was Tarzans.
I wonder what Base Hospital 43 will be like. I don't know, but I can guess. It'll probably be very strict and very dull, and dirty and primitive, and I shall hate it as much as I hated training here. If that's how you feel about it, why on earth did you join up? For an answer to that question, I'll have to refer you to my lawyer.
Life belts will be worn at all times during the trip, above and below decks. Life belts will be worn at all times during the trip, above and below decks.
I wish you'd shut that door and keep the fog out. It's only a bunch of nurses.
And even through a thick fog, they don't look very exciting to me.
If it's all the same to you, one of them happens to be my fiancée.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's why I wangled passage on this transport.
Well, you better go and find her.
Leave a will.
Oh, and if she's got a beautiful blonde friend, bring them both back.
Oh,
They do say travel broadens you.
I suppose they gave us these to make us feel at home, huh?
Gas masks, life belts, identification tags. Just a nice, cozy little war.
It's awfully thrilling, isn't it? Yeah. Hey, what's the good of traveling without lights if the enemy can hear us? What were you saying?
Isn't this thrilling? Us creeping through the darkness, huddled together, hiding from the unseen enemy?
Well, I'm not particularly thrilled at the idea of being blown to bits. Do you realize that we're groping our way blind through a minefield?
Yes, but there are mines.
Well, I hope that thought brings a little comfort to you if we ever strike one.
And here, sir, if you'll kindly permit the rest of the audience to see, is the very card you picked. The Queen of Spades. Right?
It is. Ginger, you're priceless.
Right. Come on, you two. Break it up there, will you?
Ginger, in your extensive repertoire, did you ever learn how to make things disappear?
I did. Rabbits, cigarette cases, goldfish.
No, I mean human beings. Take yourself, for instance, and Captain Evans. Now, there's a trick Ed and I'd be simply crazy about.
Sounds like a bit of a hint for us to buzz off, eh?
I get it. To buzz or not to buzz, that is the question. Come along, Ginger.
I warned you what happened to men on boats.
Larry, what is it?
I think it's a raid. Take it easy. You two girls stay here.
So he's waiting for me at the stage door with a big bunch of flowers. And when he sees me, his face falls a mile. And he says, oh, I say, you look better behind the footlights, don't you?
What'd you do then?
I didn't let him forget that I was a lady. And I says, look, fish face, I don't think you're so hot even in a blackout. And with that, I threw the flowers in his face and walked away.
Well, the show's over, girls.
Oh, boy. I could do with a good stiff drink.
Me too.
Think I'll go and find a bottle, eh?
Oh, good. Try Matthews. He's about 3 or 4 cabins forward.
Right.
What about a straight?
Where'd you keep your whiskey, old boy?
Why don't you try the locker, old man?
Thanks, I will, old boy. Boy, I say, I'm frightfully sorry.
Not half as sorry as I am.
Why, I thought this was Captain Matthews' cabin.
Well, it may be. I just ducked in here during the excitement.
Well, I thought you were Matthews, or I wouldn't have... Really, I wouldn't.
That's all right.
He sent me down to try and find some liquid reinforcements. There it is. Just as I thought, trying to hide it in a dirty old shirt. Well, I'll be barging along. How about a drink?
No, thank you.
I think we've earned one.
Oh, no, thanks. I feel fine.
Huh. That's funny. I seem to be locked in.
Why don't you try a little harder?
It's completely jammed.
Anyone can rattle door handles.
I tell you, it's stuck. Probably needs a little oil or something.
Yes, or a little eye wash.
Oh, well, suppose you try it.
Well, it really is stuck. Well, what happens now?
Well, I could throw the whiskey bottle through the porthole, but that would ruin the whiskey, wouldn't it?
Yes, I suppose it would.
Somebody'll be along for me in a moment. She can stand me that long. Care for a cigarette?
Thanks, I'm dying for one.
Considering we're stuck in here together, I think we ought to know each other, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
I'm Larry Hall, R.A.M.
Pamela Starr, how do you do?
Oh, nice name, Pamela.
Doesn't my name mean anything else to you?
No. Should it?
Well, don't you read the newspapers?
Only the cricket scores. Why, you famous?
Mm-mm. Infamous.
Really? Why?
Well, I tell you what. Oh, never mind. You'll probably hear all about me in due course. It's very odd seeing a flyer on a boat. Why aren't you upstairs dropping pamphlets?
Oh, we stopped doing all that. The German street cleaning department complained. Now all we do is simply have them shoved under doors by spies.
We've known each other practically all our lives. We were sweethearts in kindergarten.
Just think, Ducky, you may even get to nurse him when he's wounded.
Hey, stupid.
Oh, I don't mean badly wounded. Just a flesh wound in the shoulder, maybe, or...
I bet you're one of those women who always manages to say the wrong thing.
Don't worry, Ducky. Everybody says the wrong thing.
Let's go see what's detaining Larry.
All right? Gail, he's in here.
The door's jammed.
Go away. Let me try.
Oh, that's funny. I couldn't open the door from the inside.
Couldn't you? I'll bet you worked yourself right into a lather.
We'd begun to think you'd fallen off the boat.
Instead of which you've just been chatting away with Miss Starr.
A very nice little chat it was, too.
Lieutenant Hall is Gail's fiancé.
I think they're both very lucky. Come on, laddie, let's go to our cabin.
All right, won't you join us?
No, thanks.
Better luck next time, Ducky.
I don't know what you mean.
I thought you'd like to entertain him, only where there was a nice, convenient flight of stairs, Andy.
All right, girls, line up over there. It's a funny little town, isn't it? Ooh, quite an audience, haven't we? Yeah. Hurry up, girls. Fall in.
All right, we've got to fall out first. Hey, Grandpa, I's right. What's your blood pressure?
Mademoiselle, vous êtes si jolie que nous sommes infiniment heureux de vous voir arriver à bon port et de vous posséder parmi nous.
Same to you, Ducky.
What's he saying?
He's giving us that well-known Maginot line.
This way. Well, the stork just brought us a nice new flock of Florence nightingales.
What are they like? Seen them yet?
Young, inexperienced, pretty average.
Well, I'm just going off duty, so I think I'll let you wipe their little noses and tuck them up in bed for tonight.
Just as you say. But they're downstairs all a-twitter with excitement waiting for Matron to speak to them.
Yeah, well, Matron just found a run in her last good pair of stockings, and what she'd have to say wouldn't be fit to print.
You're looking very chic, O'Neill. Dining with the Brigadier?
What, with old Fluffingham? What? No, not tonight. I've got a date with Freddie Floyd.
Oh, I thought he was in China covering the war.
He was, but he's the kind of war correspondent that hops from Shanghai to Madrid between editions.
Well, I'll go down and speak to the war babies with a few well-chosen words.
Francis, I'll do it.
Oh, you look tired. I don't mind, really.
Yes, I am tired, but I'll see them just the same.
You're off duty. How about a spot of brandy?
That's not a bad idea. You've had a long trip and you're tired, so I'm not going to waste any words on an address of welcome. We're glad you got here safely, and we hope you'll all be able to leave here safely when the time comes. Miss Phelps, will you take the cigarette from that girl? I don't want her to burn her fingers. I hope none of you have come here with the beautiful notion that war is noble and romantic. Some of you dewy-eyed creatures may be under the impression that it will be your function to soothe the fevered brows of handsome young men when on duty and to philander with the convalescents when you're off. Unfortunately, war isn't like that. War is just what that well-known general called it many years ago. It's a cruel, inhuman, heartbreaking, filthy, rotten business. When we're busy, you'll be worked to death. And when things are slack, you'll be bored to death. But I hope you'll all be able to meet both tests. That's all. Good night.
This way, girls.
Matron! Is it compulsory to sleep in? You see, I'd like to be billeted in the village.
Well, I hate to interfere with any plans you may have made, but fortunately, we can provide all of you with bed and board.
Are those Army regulations, or did you make them up?
You're tired and a little excited, so I'll ignore your insolence this time.
Oh, Miss O'Neill, I'd like to impose upon your kindness and ask just one more question. That perfume you're using, it's delightful, and it has such a familiar fragrance. I'd love to know where you get it.
This is exactly like boarding school. I thought the front would be...
Oh, in this war, there is no front, Phyllis. London, Paris, here, it's all alike.
Righto, they drop a bomb and bluey. The back's the front.
It is a bit of a letdown, isn't it? I thought everything would be thrilling and exciting.
Ah, maybe you can walk.
Oh, in a way, it is rather wonderful that we can each do our own bit, no matter how small.
You're a funny kid, Phyllis. Your parents are wealthy, and you're so young and pretty. You could be at home someplace, down in the country, having a fine time for yourself, girl. And yet you joined up. And you know, I do believe you're more keen about it than any of us. Now, tell me why.
Oh, I don't know. Patriotism, I suppose.
Me? Oh, no. I was a waitress when I worked. I haven't had a job in the past 18 months. I joined because it's 3 square meals a day, and good pay, too.
That's as noble a reason as any for being here. She doesn't really mean that. Even if she'd had a job, she'd have left it. It takes a lot of fool men and women to make a war, doesn't it?
Which one of you is Gail Halliday?
I am.
Lieutenant Hall called from the Royal Air Base. He said he won't be able to keep his appointment tonight, but he'll call you tomorrow.
Oh.
Don't worry, Duck. Let's you and me and Phyllis go look the town over, eh?
All right. I'm not much good at French, are you?
Oh, I know enough. Garçon, donnez-moi 3 beers. That'll keep us going. Oh, would you like to come along, Pam?
I think I'll explore on my own. Thanks all the same.
Good hunting, Ducky.
La chrysanthème toute fraîche aujourd'hui. La chrysanthème, vin sous la fleur. Madame, regardez les belles fleurs, madame. Vin sous la fleur, c'est pour rien, madame. Choisissez, choisissez, madame.
This is indeed a pleasure, Miss Starr.
Who are you?
After the way I greeted you in Matthew's cabin, I almost blushed to unveil.
Fancy meeting you here.
Oh, nowadays, even the very best people bump into each other in cellars. You know, in the good old days, one only ran into mice. I wonder where the mice hang out since the war.
I wonder.
Let me help you out. Do you mean to tell me you came out without a gas mask?
I'm afraid I did.
Well, don't you know that they can court-martial you and kick you out of the army for that?
That's great. Be sure and report me. After all, I was pitchforked into the army. I might as well be kicked out. Oh, you don't even know what I'm talking about, do you?
No.
Well, didn't Gail tell you the story of my life?
Yes, some of it, but she must have skipped a lot. Fill in the gaps for me, will you?
And I said I'd go through with it. That's that.
Well, the raid seems to be over.
Shows the life's history. Come on.
What's the matter?
My heel came off. Oh, it's maddening, isn't it? What do we do now?
I know a bloke down the street that'll fix this in a jiffy.
You do?
Bonsoir, mademoiselle. Bonsoir, mon général.
Good evening. What's the French for heel?
Oh, you don't got to worry about French. There's nothing I speak so good as English.
Oh, that's good. Well, could you put...
I also speak a little Turkish, a little Spanish, a little Hindustan, a little Armenian, and Greek. That is what I am. And I speak a little Russian, and...
What, no finish?
All right, I finish. You don't have to get sarcastic. Is there something you can do for me? I mean, can I do you something? Can you do...
My heel came off.
Oh, sure. Fix that right away. Sit right down here. He's going to fix it in just 1, 2, 3. Oh, bon, petite, scravins, lavasta. Oh.
What's he babbling about?
He says my foot is very small and very pretty.
By Jove, it is, too. Monsieur, you are a scholar and a gentleman.
Oh, mon général.
Never mind, the shoe.
Oh, yes, the shoe. I gonna... While I fix it, shall I give you some music? I give you some nice music. Not the jitterbug. That stinks. I'm gonna give you a waltz. I love waltz. Oui, here it is.
Queer old duck, isn't he?
You whispering sweet nothings in your ear? Love. There's nothing so beautiful like love.
Oh, we're not in love.
Oh, I understand. Say, I'm not so old. Quite. Embrace her. I don't see nothing, I don't hear nothing, I don't tell nothing. My wife says I don't know nothing.
I thought you were supposed to be on duty.
Oh, I was, but the CO switched flights on us at the last moment.
Well, then hadn't you better go and look for Gail?
I did, just before the planes came over. Went to the hospital, but they told me she'd gone out with some of the girls. What's the idea of summoning yourself?
Oh, see, I got competition across the street. It's another shoemaker, and I don't like him. So I want him to think I got lots of customers coming in. So I...
Let's dance this one, shall we?
With 1 foot?
Oh, I'll fix that.
Oh, my General, your wife, she's so... That's what I call a wife.
I'm not his wife. I just met him in a cellar.
Well, it's the same thing. 20 years ago, I got married. I got 14 kids. I meet my wife in the cellar.
Here! Venez ici.
My wife. It was a very dark cellar.
Hey, waiter, garçon, bring some cigarettes.
Don't get excited, Ducky. Here you are, pure magic.
Now, if you could pull a whiskey and soda out of my ear, you'd be a magician after my own heart.
Freddie, it wouldn't seem like a real war if I didn't bump into you someplace. How did you know I was in this little town?
I was back in General Headquarters yesterday, and I recognized your fine Italian hand.
How do you mean?
I heard an old brigadier on the phone yelling, "Tell that blankety-blank matron she's not running this whole war." So I laughed, and I said, just on a hunch, I said, that sounds like my old friend O'Neill. And by Jove, it was, so I caught the next train, and here I am.
Yeah. We sort of flit from war to war, you and I, Freddie.
In Barcelona, you said you were through with nursing, remember? You were with an American unit then. What are you doing in charge of a British hospital now?
Oh, I'm still a British subject by marriage in my innocent youth.
I didn't know that. What happened?
Oh, the usual thing, just another war, only on a smaller and more private scale.
Yeah, I used to get married every now and then myself, but I gave it up as a bad job.
Well, once was enough for me.
Who?
No dice, Freddie. I see that look in your eye. You're not going to get any story from me. Rien ne va plus. Drink your beer.
Okay.
One wouldn't think there'd been an air raid just a little while ago.
Well, these people are used to it by now.
Wait until I write home and tell them I've been in an air raid. Not quite like a boarding school, eh, Phyllis? Oh, there's Larry.
Hello, Gail. Thought I'd find you in here. You know, a very funny thing happened just now. This star and I bumped into each other in the same cellar.
What an amazing coincidence.
Yes, it was.
The air raid happened over 2 hours ago.
I know, but you see, just as we were leaving the cellar, Pamela...
Larry, don't tell them. Believe it or not, we were surfboard riding in the moonlight.
I don't think that's so very funny.
Where have you been? If you really want to know, the heel came off my shoe and we were having it mended. You don't believe that either? No, I don't. Not that it matters.
Gail, now wait a minute. All this is very silly.
Why don't you leave him alone?
I don't want him. Anyway, he's not your fiancé. What are you worrying about?
That's the idea. Live up to your reputation. Here, step up, ladies and gentlemen, and see Pamela Starr. The man-eating woman eats him alive.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I beg your pardon.
So that's an awfully pretty kid.
Yes, she's one of my new nurses.
Well, seems to me I've seen that girl somewhere before.
Her name is Pamela Starr.
Oh, yes, sure, now I remember. I used to know her father, Colonel Starr.
Di.
Yes, it isn't quite 10. The other girls have been in for some time, though. I hear you were fortunate in finding a nice, comfortable cellar with congenial company.
No wonder my ears have been burning. Am I interrupting something? I hope you realize by now that my meeting with Larry was accidental. I'd rather not discuss it. Gail, don't be so silly about it.
Oh, leave her alone, can't you?
You're acting like a bunch of hysterical schoolgirls.
I wouldn't call you an authority on how schoolgirls behave.
What do you mean?
If I remember correctly, you testified at your trial that you've been expelled from 3 schools. Well, I'm not surprised.
It would be a great relief to slap your silly face. But you just go bawling home to your mother, and where would that get us?
He knew the kind of girl she was. He'd never look at her twice.
You don't have to worry. He knows. I told him my life story.
Oh, a thrill and serial. To be continued, no doubt.
Gail, please believe me. Your fiancé doesn't mean a thing to me. I give you my word of honor.
Your word of honor.
That's funny. All right. If that's the way you want it, that's the way you'll get it. If I'm to have the reputation of a cheap siren out of a melodrama, I'll live up to it. You wouldn't believe me when I said your silly fiancé didn't mean anything to me. Well, I'll take him away from you just for the fun of it. You'd be doing him a favor anyway. He's really very intelligent, and you're much too stupid for him.
Miss Starr, I'd like to see you for a moment. Sit down, Miss Starr.
I prefer to stand if you don't mind.
Suit yourself.
Go ahead. I'm used to pie jaws.
No, I'm not going to give you a lecture. This is off the record. Don't put it out. Sit down, relax. I gather from what I just overheard that you seem to have got started on the wrong foot here. Your private life, of course, is none of my affair.
But you intend to butt in anyway.
You're not interested in that boy. Why don't you leave him alone?
You concerned with his morals in my company or mine in his?
Well, as I understand it, he's engaged to Gail. It's rather a sound policy to leave another girl's man severely alone.
All right. When I start working on your war correspondent, we'll discuss it again.
Oh, now you're being rather unpleasant. I'm trying to help you.
It's a very touching sentiment, Miss O'Neill. But as long as we're letting our hair down, I'd like to tell you that it doesn't fool me a bit.
Go on.
It's very clear that you dislike me. You've probably heard all about that unpleasant business. I mean my lurid past.
Yes, I read about it. You've been badly hurt. It's made you very hard. Oh, my dear.
Miss O'Neill, I know that you're the matron, and that derives from the Latin word meaning mother. But please don't go maternal on me. I'm allergic to it. Oh, sorry. I thought you were alone.
It's all right, Francis. Come in.
Anything else, Miss O'Neill?
Only this. You said just now it was clear that I disliked you. Well.
Please don't apologize. I can assure you it's entirely mutual. It won't prevent me from doing my job and obeying instructions.
Good night, Miss Starr.
Good night.
Well, of all the cheek. That young lady has all the earmarks of a problem child.
She is. And it's a problem I've got to solve. You see, Francis, she's my daughter. That's the reason I pulled wires to get her sent up here to this unit. I thought I could help straighten her out.
Well, why don't you tell her who you are?
Oh, no. She'd resent that even more. And you're not to tell her either.
She seems to enjoy carrying a chip on her shoulder.
Poor kid. It started out as a chip, and by this time she thinks it's a cross. She's missed 2 things in her life. Affection and discipline. She needs them both. I can't give her the first, yet. But I can give her the second.
Why
does she always seem to be doing all the scrubbing?
The matron assigns us to our duties.
Well, you on scrubbing duty again?
What do you mean again? Still. The only thing I'm going to get out of this war is a lovely case of housemaid's knee.
You know, it's largely your own fault that you get all the dirty jobs.
Yes, I know. Anita probably thinks she can get me to quit this way.
You could apply for transfer to another unit.
Whose bright idea is that? Yours or O'Neill's?
Oh. Do you mind if I say something?
No, go ahead.
Don't you think you're riding that girl a little too hard?
Did she complain?
Oh, no. She'd bite off her tongue rather than do that.
Yes, I believe she would. Her father was as stubborn as a mule, too.
To say nothing of her mother.
Is she still seeing that young man?
Every chance she gets.
I hate to see her get in another mess.
Well, outside of keeping her on duty every hour out of the 24, you're doing all you can.
Sorry to bother you, matron, but may I have a field service card?
Yes, I'll get you one.
My mother worries terribly if I don't write home regularly.
Imagine all mothers do.
Millie, help me with those, will you?
Sure, I'd be glad to.
Thank you. If Corporal Mullins doesn't get his toenails cut, we won't have a sheet left to use. Cute.
We have tonight off. Want to go to a picture show? Aren't you going out with Larry?
No, he's on duty tonight.
Damn.
What?
I give you the choice of two alternatives. Either stop looking so darned attractive or take the consequences.
Oh, my goodness, I'm all a Twitter.
All right. You asked for it.
All right, so I got it.
I've been wanting to do that for weeks.
You stay right there. I can hear much better across the tape.
Pam, the time has come.
The walrus said to talk of many things.
Don't laugh at me. I'm terribly serious.
Darling, don't be so silly. It's all in fun.
I don't believe that, and nor do you.
Larry, you're a terribly nice person, and I'm very fond of you. But I feel you're taking too much for granted.
Pamela, look at me. Are you trying to tell me that you've only been flirting with me?
Why, certainly I have, Larry. You're engaged to Gail.
I know, but this is 1940. Engagements can be broken just as easily as treated.
That's a very poor analogy. There are probably a million graves to prove it.
Oh, don't let's talk about world politics. This concerns only you and me. Pam, remember that snapshot you gave me?
Mm-hmm.
I've got it pasted in the cockpit of my airplane.
Oh, Larry.
You know, a man sees things very clearly when he's up at a height of maybe 20,000 feet. And it isn't only the Earth he sees in its proper perspective, but your whole life. I know I'm engaged to Gail, but I've got to break it. I'm not in love with her anymore. I don't think I ever could have been. I'm in love with you.
Larry, listen, you don't understand. It all started because
I'm not interested in how it started. Maybe it even started as a joke. It's gone beyond that now, hasn't it?
No. We've had a lot of fun. It's been years. I was lonely. You were the only person who was decent to me. Halfway understanding. That's all it was, Larry.
Well, I'm afraid I'll have to leave you now.
I've got a patrol at dawn. We'll discuss it when I get back, eh? If I get back.
Don't say things like that, Larry.
So, you've been toying with my innocent affections. Wear it, Pam. Always. Now wish me happy landings.
Happy landings, Larry. Wherever you fly. Double brandy, please.
Look out, mademoiselle, you'll burn your finger.
O'Neill, is he...
What are you doing here? You're supposed to be on duty in Ward F.
I know, but they just told me they brought him in and...
Who told you?
Phyllis. She said...
She's a little fool. Now stop worrying. He'll be all right.
Is he badly hurt?
No, only a flesh wound. They just nicked his shoulder. Now, pull yourself together.
He's coming out of the ether, matron.
Ginger. Is he conscious yet?
Conscious? Not off, he's not. He's swearing his head off.
Has he asked for me?
No, Ducky. So far, he's only asked for Hitler. It seems there are several things he'd like to do to him. Hold on. You're going to bust that thermometer in two. I must be slipping. Here I'm holding your hand and your pulse was perfectly normal.
Now, look here, Ginger. I've been in here 4 days. What I want to know is...
Shut up and drink this.
Good morning, sir. It is a fine luncheon I have for you.
Thank you. Oh, Miss O'Neill.
Are they taking care of you nicely?
I would have words in private with you, Miss O'Neill.
What's on your mind?
I've been bathed, shaved, nursed, and fed by at least 57 of your little charges in the last few days. Why, every time that door swings open, a different face appears.
Yes, well, you're one of our few casualties. I want them all to have a little experience.
Isn't it a strange coincidence that neither Miss Starr or Miss Halliday's been given a crack at me?
Amazing, isn't it?
Oh, come on, be a sport, Miss O'Neill. You've been in love, haven't you?
Yes, indeed. But always with one at a time.
Sit down, matron, and be my mother confessor. What would you do if you were engaged to someone and then someone else came along and you knew right away that the first was a mistake and that the second was the right person? It's a bit of a problem, isn't it?
Yes. How can you be sure that the party of the second part is the right party?
Because something deep down inside sort of goes click, and you can be sure. How about relaxing the rules a bit, matron?
Miss Starr has never been very finicky about breaking rules. I think if she'd wanted to see you, she would have been in here before this.
But you know her pretty well, don't you, matron? Do you think she's just been amusing herself?
She hasn't honored me with her confidence, and if she had, I wouldn't tell you.
Well, I've got to see her. That's all there is to it.
An orderly just brought this from General Headquarters, matron. It's important.
Thanks.
Francis.
Bad news?
Not good. I want all the girls from Division 4 to report to my office at once. You too. My orders are to take all available nurses and move up to Casualty Clearing Station number 7. You'll observe that's quite near the front. There are 3 trucks being loaded now with equipment and supplies. I want you girls packed and ready to leave in 2 hours. All right. Thanks. You may dismiss. Those go in the first truck. Stow them carefully. And in the 3rd truck, more room. Where's Miss Starr?
She's upstairs checking the last of the supplies in the storeroom.
Oh, all right. Stow your things in the truck and then run up and tell her to hurry.
Very good, matron.
Is Gail driving the second truck?
Yeah. Good driver, that girl.
All right, that's the lot. Take them down to the trucks, huh?
Very good, miss.
So, you were thinking of sneaking off without saying goodbye to me?
Larry, you shouldn't be out of bed.
I know. I'll probably catch my death of cold and haunt you. Pamela, why have you been avoiding me?
Because I had nothing to say. Oh, run along, Larry. I've got to get things locked up. We're leaving in a few moments.
I know that. That's why I had to see you. Pamela.
Larry, it's no use. It was fun while it lasted, but it's all over now.
You're a liar, Pam. It went deeper than that. You're thinking of Gail, aren't you? We've only got a few minutes left. This is no time to be noble. We've got to be honest with each other.
Oh, Larry, let me go. I'm holding up the parade.
All right, then. Will you kiss me goodbye before you go? Just for old lang syne?
Of course. I always kiss the boys goodbye.
was all a game? Even the tears?
That's right. They're all part of the act. Looking for Mr. Hall?
Yes, where is he?
I'd suggest looking for Miss Starr. I tried to hold him in bed, but he just shoved past me. Said he'd find it if he had to tear down the hospital.
Thanks. This is an emergency. That's why we're driving our own trucks. I've marked your road maps clearly so we won't lose our way. I'll drive the first truck, and the rest will follow me. Now, get this clearly. It's very important. The entire sector here, along this line, will be under the fire of our own guns. We're laying down a heavy barrage. All the villages have been evacuated. This road, the one you have to take, is less than a mile from the line of fire. All right. Any questions? No.
Oh, no, ma'am. Everything's perfectly clear.
Good. You'll travel without headlights and not too close together.
Truck's all loaded, matron.
Thanks. All right. Off we go, and good luck. Can you see both trucks?
Yes, everything's under control.
Listen, is that thunder?
That's our barrage starting.
Anytime you feel like it, grab onto me. I'm scared stiff myself.
Boys are certainly tooting it up tonight.
I hope we're on the right road. This is a little too close for comfort.
Oh, I don't mind war so much. But it certainly interferes with a girl's sleep.
Watch out where you're going.
Gail, are you sure you took the right road?
I know where I'm going.
Oh, I hope so. Or before you can say blitzkrieg, we'll be under our own barrage. Can you see the first truck? I can't.
Very well. Ginger, you hop out and see if you can see the third truck coming.
What's the matter? Are you out of your mind? We're heading straight for the barrage.
I know. That's why I let Ginger out. This is between you and me.
Come on, drive into the village before we get blown to bits.
That's what I had in mind.
I see.
But you were in her truck.
I was, but she shoved me off. I tore across country and Millie picked me up. She was driving right into the line of fire. I think that...
Millie, you know the road. Stay right on it. I'm turning back. You and Phyllis go with Millie.
I like this truck, thanks.
I hate to change buses myself.
Well, we might as well make ourselves at home.
I must have been mad. I must have been mad.
First you try to kill us, and then you get hysterics. Oh, shut up. Well, we'll be safe here for a while if we don't get a direct hit.
O'Neill, they couldn't have gone this way. Don't be a fool, O'Neill. It's too late anyway.
O'Neill! O'Neill! This way! It's Gail! They're coming. They're coming.
Who, the Marines?
O'Neill and the others.
They're all coming to your little party, Gail. I hope there are enough paper hats to go round. Look what I found. Gail, let's drink and be merry. For tomorrow we die or something.
How did you get off the road?
Oh, all the roads are alike in the dark.
No, it was my fault. It was all my fault.
There she goes again. Go on, have a drink, Gail.
Steady, child, steady. What are we all standing around for? We're under the fire of our own guns.
I know. Why don't you complain to the management? You want one?
No, thanks. Frightened?
What do you think? I'm no heroine. May not be British or patriotic, but I resent bitterly dying like a rat in a trap. Don't worry, girls. It'll all be all right. They'll erect a lovely monument to it. Here lie 6 British nurses who died, scared stiff for the greater glory of civilization. Won't that make our parents proud?
Lining up so pretty we could plant asparagus in it.
A battery, increase range 500 yards.
Yes, sir.
We'll have that village flattened out like a pancake.
Did you tell her? Don't be a fool, O'Neill. Tell her.
We're going to be here for the rest of our lives. And that may be only for a few moments. If you don't tell her, I will.
No, no.
There's nothing for me to live for. All of us here trapped, and it's all my fault. I wish I was dead. Don't worry, Ducky. You'll get your wish. We'll all be killed.
Oh, shut up. What good will reproaches do now?
She might as well hear the truth.
Oh, don't be a little fool. It's as much my fault as it is hers. If it's any comfort to you now, my shabby little trick didn't come off. I thought I could sail right in and take Larry from you. Oh, it didn't work.
Why lie about it now? I don't believe you. Well, you can believe me, because I saw it. He's in love with her, all right, and he told her so. But she just laughed and said it didn't mean a thing. It's more than I'd have done, and more than you deserve. You got us into this. Now all you can do is stand there sniveling.
Oh, that's fine. Now you have hysterics. Let's all have hysterics.
Well, it's about
Oh,
time.
shut up.
more than half a mile off. There must be some way of getting word to them.
How do you aim to do it? Send a carrier pigeon?
She's going the wrong way. No, she's going the right way. She's going through to the gun. Oh, but she hasn't got a chance in 1,000. She's a tough old girl, isn't she? Yes. And it's time you learned something else about her, too.
She couldn't have made it. It seems to be getting worse.
Dear God, she made it.
Good for O'Neill. Have a puff? I wish you'd let me know sooner.
Before you say anything you might not mean, Pam, I think it's only fair to tell you that I'm not dying, and I haven't any intention of dying.
That's good.
It's just a flesh wound, rather like Larry's.
I'm so glad Larry's safely wounded.
Are you in love with him, Pam? The real thing?
The real thing, O'Neill.
Funny. If I hadn't walked out on you and your father, you wouldn't be sitting here now, calling me O'Neill. I'm sorry, Pam. For so much.
Well, that's all right, O'Neill. No hard feelings. I'm a little afraid to call you Mother. You might knock me down again.